I'm Marguerite Kenward. I'm married to Martin and I have two daughters, adult now, Hannah and Nicola. And I have a granddaughter who was born this year called Phoebe, and she's 6 months old. And we've got a black Labrador who's quite elderly now, called Heidi. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse since I was 18, and I currently work at Hospice in the Weald. I've been working there nearly 10 years now, and I really love and am passionate about palliative care and what we do. So I'm the matron of the inpatient unit at the hospice, where we look after people who have specialist symptom control needs and end-of-life care and day procedures and all sorts, and that's just a very small part of the hospice. And I also look after the occupational and the physiotherapists, help manage that and the complementary therapy. And I work full time, it keeps me pretty busy. It's pretty stressful at times. It's very full on, but it's equally extremely rewarding. The hospice is an amazingly happy place. But it is a very emotive place. And you get very close to death and what that means. And what happened before I became a Christian, or before I first thought about coming to church and finding out. So at school we had a basic sort of Christian input, but I didn't really think anything of it. Church was for sort of weddings, christenings and funerals. Occasionally I did spend a little time going to Guildford United Reformed Church with a friend, but we spent more time playing outside than we did inside. It was much more fun. I think I knew 2 hymns, Away in a Manger and Plough the Fields and Scatter, which is always stuck in my head. I think I could sing the first verses of those 2 hymns, but really nothing else. But I always believed that there was good and there was bad, and I think as a lot of people believe, you do your best. But as time went on, not long, probably a year or so before I started looking to come to church, my husband and I had been through a pretty difficult time financially, which impacted on us quite heavily. And we moved to Wadhurst for a while, and I used to walk Heidi, our dog, round Buell Water. And sometimes I used to stop and think, and it was as though I was drawn to think more about God, just looking over the beautiful scenery, and think about things. There was a specific event on the ward when a patient asked me to read the Bible. Now, she wanted a passage read to her, which is absolutely fine. But somehow I didn't feel comfortable doing that, but I couldn't express why. And I spoke to another member of staff on the ward who was a Christian. I said, she'd like someone to read a portion of the Bible, and he said, I'll go and do that with her. And I thought, why couldn't I do that? It was strange. And it just got me thinking. That led to me eventually speaking to the chaplain at the hospice at the time, and we just had a chat about lots of things, my concerns, that's why some people suffer more than others, and about church, and about my concerns about church, my concerns about communion, of all strange things. She told me, so she was an Anglican chaplain. She said, go and have a look at churches and see what you think, and have a shop around. Because I said, perhaps I might like to just go to church. She said, don't tell anybody I told you to shop around. Of course, I have since told loads of people, and she knows. And that led me to Rye Baptist Church. I had a few hang-ups. I had a hang-up about church. I thought they were stuffy. I remember getting into trouble in church when I was little. I think I piled up all the kneelers that they had and sat on the top and fell off and made a noise, and people used to like their own pews. I had the wrong sort of impressions, and it wasn't so good. So I looked on the website. I did go to another church locally, and they were very lovely, but it just didn't feel right. So I stopped. And then eventually I kept on looking at the website, and it's strange to say a voice. There wasn't a big booming voice that came into the room, but this constant sort of internal voice that said, go and have a look, go and have a look. So I'd working hard. I don't like to get up too early in the morning. It had quite a late start time, which I thought was good. It was easy to park, which if people know me, I don't really like to park my car too cleverly. I like to abandon it. So I had a nice car park. I don't have to reverse. Had all those things. So there I did. I went for the first time all by myself. And it was an amazing experience. Went in downstairs. That was strange because the church was upstairs. I was welcomed, walked in upstairs, and then I sat down. But that's when I saw a communion table, and I thought, I'm not sure about this communion. You're not meant to have it, and if you haven't professed a faith. And so anyway, the services started, so I couldn't leave. So I sat, and the first service was just so amazing. And our minister Fiona said that when it came to communion, that everybody was welcome at the table, and that was just, everybody was welcome to take part in communion, and that meant a lot. I felt the people in Rye Baptist were just so real. It wasn't stuffy. Everybody was friendly. There was a mix of people: farmers, sailors, business people, housewives. It was just a mix, and it was lovely. So I first came to Rye Baptist, it was just after Christmas, January, so it must have been Christmas 2010 when I first came. January 2010. So I came in the January. I was working shifts at that time. I didn't have the position I have now. I was a staff nurse on the ward at that time, and I couldn't come every Sunday. I worked some weekends and nights, but slowly I started coming, and then it meant more and more, so I wanted to come more and more, and things were explained, which was helpful. And then I attended the Christianity Explore course, and that was good. But by the end of that course, I knew that I wanted to come to faith, and I eventually gained this constant voice saying, you can do this. I did go and speak to Fiona and talk about things and what it meant. Looking back, and this has carried on through my journey as a Christian, God seems to nudge you. There's a quiet voice. He nudges you. He speaks to you in your thoughts. Sometimes it's almost audible. He doesn't ask you to put your brain away and have this blind faith, but he guides you. He takes you to places. He gets you to open your eyes and see things, and explore, and that's okay. And the more you do that, the more closer you can become. Since I became a Christian, my family will tell me I'm a lot more patient, particularly at home. I think you have these sort of top of the mountain moments, but I know coming to faith and being baptised, I really felt a lot more calmer, able to cope with things more, just internally happier. I'm not saying there's not ups and downs, because there are. That's life, and lots of things impact on that. But my family felt that I was a much nicer person. And it makes me sound I was horrible before. I don't think I was that horrible, but it felt nicer. Yeah. I think family becomes, you love your family. We all love our families, but that love is deeper, and that love is deeper because of that love of God. I know, well, from my street pastor, people have said to me, well, how can you love God more than you love your family? I couldn't love God more than I love my child, and I understand where she was coming from. And that's hard, but loving God, putting God first, puts your family, you love them even more. They have seen, I think the biggest thing with my family, they have seen how genuinely supportive the church is to people. I mean, for Martin and I, it was a massive, well, we found it hard to understand how kind and supportive the church were to us as a couple. Even though I was the one that came to faith, all my family, but Martin in particular, you know, as my children are adult, but treated us equally and supported us, whether we had a faith or not. So you're not singled out. You're all special. You're all loved. You're all cared for. You don't have to sort of join this club to then be cared for. If you come to church, you're all seen as a special individual that deserves love and attention. I think people do get the wrong idea about church. I mean, I think it's easy to think church is a place that you just go, and you just go there on a Sunday because it happens to be, most churches are open on a Sunday, and you go and pray and hear a story which is sort of quite nice and moral, and then you go home again. And then you forget about it for the rest of the week, and you can behave like you want because you've been to church on a Sunday. Church isn't like that at all. Not to me. I mean, coming to faith and going to church has changed my life. How I behave, how I look at people, how I care for people. A true compassion. And I think God is truly compassionate. I read something, you know, beyond mere pity, a care that hits the core of one's being, and I felt that from church, and I feel that from God. I think faith makes you whole. It makes you a whole person, and that's hard for a lot of people who think they're whole. I thought I was whole before I came to church. But it's not until I came to church I really realised there was something huge missing in my life. Something in my heart, my soul. Not to do with materialistic things or educational things. But yeah, something spiritual was missing. And coming to church, although it's amazingly changed my life, it's made a difference to my career. I think it's made the difference to my marriage and my family, but it is that spiritual filling. And if you're suffering in any way, I think coming to faith and finding God, He will heal you. That doesn't mean you're going to, like the things on the TV, you're going to jump out of a wheelchair and start running around, but He will heal your soul and fill you from within. It does come with a warning. It changes your life. Gets you to do things that you never feel that you could do. I certainly stepped up and done things that I'd never have thought I could do before I came to faith. And that's only through God filling me with the Holy Spirit that I've been able to do them. And from church, you know, that's where He will fill us and send us out, because, you know, love God and love your neighbour as yourself, and that's what I believe in. So we're not there just to sit in our own boxes looking after ourselves. We're there to be filled so that we can go out and help others, and I truly believe that.